Hey everybody, Jeff again, and welcome back to Chief Classics. I'm heading out to central Nebraska today. We bought a pretty snazzy Pontiac on an auction on Friday. Today is Monday, and I've been thinking about it all weekend. This car is a 67 Pontiac Grand Prix, but it's kind of a rare Grand Prix. It's a convertible, and 1967 was the only year that you could get a Grand Prix in convertible form. Now, there were only 5,800 of them made, and despite so little of them being made, I think that we have 6 of them now, if I remember correctly. 6 or 7. But these 67 Grand Prix are really cool. Grand Prix in and of themselves are pretty neat because they're typically pretty decked out cars, and these 67s are no exceptions. Just about always you see these things as bucket seat cars with consoles and air conditioning. Typically they have a lot of power and other options, but the best part about 67 Grand Prix is that all of them are powerful. The base model engine on a 67 Grand Prix was a 350 horse 400 Pontiac engine, which probably made, more than 350 horsepower and probably closer to 400 foot-pounds of torque, if not that much. So I'm really excited to check this thing out. We're gonna be there in a few minutes and we'll go over this thing. Son of a gun, here is old Casper. White with a white top. I ain't never seen this before. So I think that this car belonged to the fella that we bought the 59 Bonneville, 60 Bonneville, 63 white 4-door Catalina, 64 2-door blue Catalina, 66 Grand Prix, that's red, and some other cars from. And I really didn't look at this car too close when he owned it, because this was going to be one of the 3 that he kept. He was going to keep this one, I think a 60 Bonneville hard top, and a 57 Chevy. I'm not sure if it was a convertible or not, but nevertheless I didn't pay much attention to it because I thought that it was out of my league. I never thought I'd have a chance, at least while he was living. But here we are. The car's really not bad. You can tell it's had a repaint. We've got lacquer checking going on the skirt. We've got some checking going on up here. It might have filler in it, the way that the paint's cracking out. We can see overspray on the black welting, but I don't know. I don't see overspray on the trim. Can we see a paint line anywhere? Looks like it. Oh yeah, this has all been repainted, but it was probably always a white car, judging from what I can see. The top's in good shape. Yeah, we've just got smudges. Paint needs cleaned up really bad. Gosh, we even have current plates until next year. How'd we get so lucky? Said they put new tires on it. And they look like they actually are new, not new 20 years ago, then sat inside and cracked out new, but actual new. The quarter and the door paint don't quite match. It's really subtle, but we can tell, yeah, we got some more cracking out going on back here. We've got old lacquer paint, and it's not gonna do this thing any good to sit outside, because when that cracked lacquer paint sits outside, moisture gets underneath of it, breaks it apart even further. This back bumper's pretty nice. It's got some pitting, it'll probably clean up. Glass back window, that's cool. Man, a convertible with black interior. How strange. I wonder if we can see any semblance of other paint. Not really. So if this isn't the original color, they were pretty thorough when they repainted it. Yeah, we've got paint kind of chipping off here in the jambs, and it's white underneath, so it's probably always, yeah, You can see here, it's probably always been a white car. Gosh, nice door panels. I wonder if these have been replaced, because even the grips still feel good. Isn't that burled walnut cool? Yeah, black inside the top. Looks like we're missing a mirror. We got, let's see what the name is. Yep, sure enough, it is who we bought all those other cars from. We got mirrors for our visor. What do we got? Inspection from Virginia in 1986. Wow, we've got a whole stack of inspection stickers from Virginia. Okay. I'm not surprised by that, because those Pontiacs that we had bought from them had plates from basically all over the nation on it. Gosh, this interior is pretty good. All this burled walnut looks really nice. We've got a little bit of pitting on the console, but not bad. The car's not too stinky. You can see it probably got cleaned in a fury. These cars sat on a farm and they sold seed, so there was an abnormal amount of grain there. I thought that this was an air car, but it's not. That is a heat only control. Granted, gosh, was I just told it was an air car, or was I not? Maybe that's just what I wanted to think in here. We've got our speaker controls, and then we've got our top controls. Dash pad's really nice. It's not really stiff yet. Cool. We've got a key. We've got keys. Do we have any other options going on here, really? Nah, we got a pretty bare bones Grand Prix convertible. Oh, come on, buddy. See if it'll start. Little crank. Set the choke. All right then. Not bad, eh? Oh man, we got a cigarette burn. Looks like it was fixed. We've got our fancy Pontiac Morocite interior. All in all, not bad. Not bad. All right, let's see what we got going on out back. Gosh, the exhaust smells like race gas. I hope it has 91 in it. That'd be nice. So we detailed it, but couldn't be bothered to clean out the mouse nest. Yeah, I see some grass. It's all right. We got an 8 lug and we got our jack pieces. What do you like to use? We have an empty bottle of 15W40 of all things. Yeah, we got some overspray there. This is all very white and rough. Yeah, it's all right. I think it's gonna be okay. Well, that looks about as dingy as I could have imagined. But it doesn't look like it's ever been apart. You know, if it had been painted and apart, the paint would look a lot better than that. Yeah, sure enough, 400, 350 horse with 670 heads on it. I think it's 350 horse, but it's got 670 heads. Those are great heads. Those are high comp heads is what they are. Gosh, they threw a whole tune-up at this thing. I'm sorry, are we not even going to be able to make a video out of this? Gosh, they even put a coil in there? Oh man, you know what these wires are? We've got a fancy red wire and a fancy black wire going into the bottom of the distributor. That, my friends, is a Pertronix ignition kit, I would venture to guess. This car does not have points anymore. Sweet. Well, there's got to be a catch somewhere, so let's get this thing home and see what it looks like underneath. So it does not want to stay running as soon as you try to put a load on it. And I'm thinking it's either we moved our timing and it is too far retarded and needs more advance, or we could have a vacuum problem, because I noticed that all of our vacuum connections, see how the idle does not change whether or not we have this hose off. No different. And we like wrapped, I don't know, looks like thread tape around the fittings to try to, you know, seal that up a little bit better. And we've got that going on back here at our three-way cross, coming out of our manifold vacuum on our carburetor stud, which that's going to cause a loss of power, and we also will not have any vacuum advance if this is leaking. Let's unplug all of this. Let's take this line off and see how it changes. Yeah, you see that goofy problem we got going on here with that hose? Now let's plug the hole with our finger. Yeah, I can't tell. It cleans up a little bit when you plug the hole though. I think it's got a vacuum leak, and I think we don't have any vacuum advance. So I guess I'll try to 2-foot it up onto the trailer. Hey, check it out. We got a Texas inspection sticker from year 1, whatever year that is. Call me, you know, Captain Hindsight, but let me have my smartest man in the world moment. And I think that new vacuum lines would have gone a lot further than spending the money on deleting the points and putting in a Petronix system. Got a little close over to this side, but they're big cars. These are wide suckers, and if you've got an 80-inch trailer like this, you gotta watch yourself. We're loaded up and we're tied down, but I need something explained to me. Why do I buy so many convertibles that have 2 sets of mufflers? We've got regular mufflers up front, and then we've got glass packs in the back like we usually see. Is that just to keep noise down? I don't know. Let me know what you think. Some other worthwhile notes: we've got a new gas tank, and we have a posi tag on the differential. That's all right. Man, I spent a lot of money into getting this car barely running, but I'm not going to talk any stuff because the people I bought it from are nice people. They're millionaires and I'm not, so they don't need to take anything from me. Storms are coming. Let's make this run a little bit better. We've got antifreeze. And we have too much new oil. That's a good sign. All right, let's do the thing where we replace vacuum lines. We're gonna do all of them that we can get to. The worst part about it all is that there's gonna be some that we can't, because we've got vacuum operated headlights that go into the cab and then to a reservoir over here and then to the lights, but we're not gonna worry about all of that right now. Let's do the easy stuff that we can reach. Now, this is stuff that you wanna look for. We see cracking around that fitting right there. I don't have a fitting, but let's just cut that off and replace it with new. Yeah, the ends of these old vacuum lines were just, you know, swelled up and wallowed out, yeah, around this T back here. I think that was a lot of our troubles. Let's see if this vacuum pot holds vacuum or not. I don't like putting my mouth on things they don't belong on, but yeah. I'm conflicted. It seems to hold vacuum, but that doesn't move like it should. But I don't have any caps on me, so we'll just hook it up for now and it'll look correct, you know what I mean? So this is 1/4 inch hose. It's supposed to be 5/32 hose, so everything fits really loosely. And I don't know, that hole's all plugged up with that pipe dope. So I don't know, it probably wasn't even getting any vacuum where it should have been. Alrighty, so we got most of the lines replaced. I left the PCV alone. That looked like that had been changed recently, and I don't see any cracks at the end of the hoses. The other thing that worries me is the vacuum modulator hard line. It's just, you know, there's a fitting back here that tees off to the brake booster as well, and I can't remember it, but I think there's a vacuum hose at the other end of this that we can't really see. Oh, we can see it. It's intact, so that might not be a vacuum leak. We also teed in a gauge. So if you've got one of these and you're worried about messing up the routing for the vacuum lines, there's nothing timed, ported, anything like that. Everything just goes to full vacuum on these. So you can't plug it into the wrong spot so long as it is getting vacuum somewhere. We'll get it fired up, we'll get it warmed up, and we'll see if we can tune on the carb a little bit. Maybe that'll help. Whew, had to undo the chains, couldn't get the door open. Oh, this is a long ways up. We're gonna need a few more A&R detailing mobile air fresheners in here. Whew. Set the choke. Oh gosh, the idle is way higher now. And I think that's good. Yes, sir! 17 inches. That gauge isn't even moving. Outstanding. Man, we just fixed this car for like $2 in vacuum hoses, if that. Idle's starting to go down. Assume that the choke mechanism is probably working now that it's getting some heat in it. The choke's opening up. It's still not running spectacular. Why is our... Oh, we got some funky stuff going on with our fuel pump. New fuel pump too. Crap, I'm gonna see if I can get this fired back up. The fuel filter looked like it was installed backwards, but I think it's just upside down. We got all the charging. Voltage regulator seems to work though. Gauge is going back down. It just maxes out for a while right after you start it, which I think is what it's supposed to do. They said that the top goes down fine, but has a hard time, needs a little help going back up, so we're not going to touch that quite yet. Why are you dying still? You got fuel. Man, it just acts like it runs out of gas. I don't know, I'll let it run a while and see what happens. So something I noticed while I was standing here, I knew that I had an accelerator pump shot because, well, I figured I did because it started pretty easily right when we got there. But I noticed that when it came to blipping the throttle, it looked like it'd fall on his face. I'll recreate it here. You can hear that initial struggle, and then I got to looking at the linkage here, and I think that the linkage is in the wrong spot. I think on these carbs we've got 3 holes for adjustment here, and I think on these cars it always goes in the middle hole. So now we've got much better acceleration because we've got our accelerator pump shot right off the bat. When we cracked the throttle, it was coming in too late prior. So I don't know, the thing seems like it's running okay now. We're filling up our fuel pump a little bit more, but I still want to get this thing on the lift and check out all of our hose connections, and I can see that we have wet fuel on the pump. So I'm sure that something isn't tight. We're probably sucking air from somewhere. We're not going to fix it on the trailer. Smells like Paxton's burning tires again. We'll deal with this tomorrow, but it seems a lot happier now. Let's do the old shut off hot, start hot. Not bad at all. Gosh, you can barely hear it back here. I don't see any smoke. We might have a little bit of a miss on this side, but I'm sure that carburetor is just ancient and hasn't been touched for a long time. You know, something we got to check out here. We need to know, why do the radios never work? It popped when I turned it on. Oh, there we go. 840.
Experience the fun and joy.
Come on, 8:40 a.m. Not bad. Hope we can get the cowboy music on later. All right, we'll check all this out again tomorrow. Well, good morning. We've got him untied. Let's get him off the trailer. See how it acts. See how happy it is. The previous owner allegedly drove this thing, I don't know, an hour from where he lived to where the auction was at. So I don't know how, the way that it was acting for us, but yeah, we'll try it. Well, it had enough brakes to hold itself on the trailer. Let's do 2 pumps, but that'll do it. Man, ain't nothing but a G thing. All right, I'll let it warm up, then we'll take him out on a drive. Everything seems to be going well. It's idling nice, revs up nice. At one point it, I don't know, it acted like it wanted to die, like it was running out of fuel, but then it came out of it. Got almost half a tank, so. Man. I didn't figure a brake was hanging up. This thing bogs so dang bad though. Ooh, yeah, we're gonna have to do brakes to this thing. It's got a bit of a pull one direction. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, that left front, it feels like it's having troubles. I don't know if we can drive this with the way that the carb is acting. When you hit the pedal, it wants to jerk the wheel out of your hand and throw you to the left. Maybe the highway isn't the best first spot to put it on, but apparently it's been here before. I don't know how the heck like he could have driven this thing that hour or whatever it was. I don't even feel good doing it. We're gonna abandon that thought. We need to get this thing in the shop and get it straightened out. Alrighty friends, we got the slab back inside here. We're gonna check a few things. We're concerned about vacuum and we're concerned about timing. So I've got the vacuum advance disconnected. I've got the vacuum gauge hooked up where the vacuum advance was. Like I said, it's full port vacuum for the advance. So let's disconnect that. Let's fire it up. Let's see if our base timing is somewhere where it probably should be. I'm gonna say somewhere in the 8 to 12 range probably. Let's see where we lay. I'm thinking it's carburetor because it always sounds like it's running out of fuel. It's like we have the initial, it's like we've got an accelerator pump and no idle circuit. So it's idling, albeit not well, but that could be because we don't have vacuum advance. This thing is basically at 0 degrees advance without the vacuum advance hooked up. Let's hook it up and then we'll see where it's at, and then we'll try to figure out what our total is. Vacuum isn't high, but it's steady at least. Alright. Oh yeah, it likes having that vacuum advance hooked up. That brought us up about 750 RPMs. And a ton of advance as well. So, with the vacuum advance hooked up at idle, we're at about 21 degrees. So let's rev it up to about 3,000 or so and see what our timing is up there. These idle mixture screws need to be set about 1.5 turns out. Oh my gosh, they're like all the way out. So there's 1/2, 1, 1.5. Gosh, they brought them all the way out. If they're bringing them all the way out, they're trying to add a ton of... They're trying to richen up the air-fuel mixture by bringing them out, but they shouldn't be out that far. I wonder if our carburetor's got a bunch of leaks. There's 1/2, 1, 1.5. I'll try starting it now. can't do it. Well, okay. Let's hook the vacuum gauge back up and try to tune the carb. Sorry if you're a bit shaky. Tuning for max vacuum. A quarter of a turn at a time. So I got the vacuum to the highest reading, and then I went an extra 1/4 turn rich. But still, that's not fixing our troubles. I mean, our idle speed's higher now, which is great, but we just can't keep it from falling on its face. Let's try a different position on the accelerator pump. So it's better, but it's still not where we need to be. Well, let's try the old vacuum leak test. I've got carb cleaner. Let's spray it on the base of the carb. That's what I suspected. I think our throttle shaft bushings are wore out. Notice how the idle pulls down when we spray that area? We're gonna go give the old Carter the benefit of the doubt here. Let's try, just gonna try, replacing the base gasket on it. We kind of got the idle to pull down when we sprayed all around the base, not just the throttle shaft bushing areas, but all around the base. So we could have a vacuum leak all around the bottom of the carburetor. So let's at least try to seal that up before we go doing something crazy like putting a new carb on it. So as you can see, we've got the carb off, and you'll see there's more metal between the two front ports than there is between the two rear ports. Now, this configuration here can make finding carburetor gaskets difficult because most of them are designed to have the same size holes as the rear ports, not the smaller front ones. And from my experience, if you get carb gaskets that have these size ports on all four holes, they don't want to seal around the edges here. So you need to get a really specific gasket, and that is Felpro 9386. It matches the intake. So here's the base gasket we pulled off. You can see it's got the same gasket design, narrow right here, wider up front. And these also have these, I don't know if they're brass or copper stiffeners around the bolt holes, as the new gaskets do. part number 13834. But the trouble with these is that you can feel through the package, these stiffeners are raised and they don't let the carb seat all the way down, so you've got a giant vacuum leak all the way around the base gasket. So I take 2 of these regular flat gaskets and put them on the top and bottom of the thick gasket. Right, wrong, or otherwise, it's been working for me. So if you think it's kind of hokey, I don't really want to hear it. So that's what we got shaking. Nice fit everywhere, looks great. Covers all of this. The only thing it leaves exposed is that, and that, which doesn't matter because none of that sucks vacuum. Everything else inside of that is sealed with that gasket. Alright, we're filling our bowl back up through our vent here. Doing this because we had to drain all the gas out of the carb to clean the bottom of it off. Alright, let's give this a whirl. Kills the engine. Some of you may be wondering, Jeff, why don't you just throw a carb rebuild kit in there? Well, somebody, the reason I don't is because a carb kit's not going to fix that. We would need to rebushing the base plate where the throttle shaft goes through it, and for the sake of time and for the sake of money, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get a new Edelbrock carburetor. Now, if this was, say, some sort of super rare HO engine and these were tri-power carbs, yeah, I might send them off and get them rebuilt and have new bushings put in. But I don't know, I could just buy a new base plate at that point, couldn't I? This is a Carter on a not so special engine. You know, it's a good engine still, it's a 350 horse 400, but it's the base engine for what these cars came with. I don't feel like the car is going to be worth any less with an Edelbrock carburetor on it. That's going to basically be a direct replacement. And if the next owner of this thing is really that wound up about it, I can throw in the old carb and they can have it restored, but that's not going to be me. So let's get a new Edelbrock, let's slap that on there, and then it's probably just going to run phenomenally. We got this monster up in the air. Let's risk our lives, take a peek under the petticoats. We'll see what we can see here. It appears that they were quite religious about greasing this thing, which is great. Now, we have a fuel leak. Interesting. Oh gosh, I have a feeling like I remembered seeing that at one point. I didn't do anything about it. It feels like the front brakes are grabbing. I don't see any brake fluid running out the bottom or down a wheel anywhere. I don't know. So the leak must not be that severe, but it's about gotta be leaking brake fluid out of somewhere. We've got some wet spots, mainly antifreeze. I think, yeah, we've got some rust going on in our bottom row there. I think a radiator is in our future. And it's not that great of a radiator. It's not worth getting it fixed. I don't know if it's a 2 or a 3 core, but it's not that wide. There's our turbo 400. Yeah, a little damp. That's all right though. Check out the floors on this thing. This has some of the nicest convertible floors I've ever seen. My goodness. Yeah, the floors are just amazing. Holy cow. Like we said, there's a posi tag. We have some newish looking shocks on here. Nice fuel tank. Okay, we've got some rust going on with the quarters. We have a bit of an art project going on here. Yeah, somebody made quarter panel patches for this thing, it looks like. That's pretty crude. Yeah, rust on the inners. This side's not as bad, but you can see there was work done to him. We've got some trunk rot. I think we noticed that already. So we've got some rust in the quarters, we've got some rust in the trunk. Big deal. Check out the nice use of steel wool right there to keep the critters out. But new tank, decent exhaust, posi. The good outweighs the bad here. Can we see the bottom of the fenders? Bottom of the fenders look nice. How about this side? Yeah, that fender looks good. We can see there's some body work done here. You can see Bondo smeared. More so on that side. How's the frame? Frame looks good. They rust up here. And then in the back, in this area, but that looks nice. This side, oh, that's just undercoating peeling. Yeah, frame's good. Cool. Well, let's check out the rest of our fuel system. See if there's anything that we missed that could lead to it not working correctly. That's just they tried to block off the return there is what they did. We didn't want to run the fuel return for some reason. I think we can make that look better. I don't think there's any more rubber line until we get to the pump. Yeah, we've got a leak out of that fitting there. Okay, let's fix that up. My favorite thing to do is get gas in my armpit. Oh, it's under pressure. Watch your eyeballs. That's a lot. Oh yeah, so they just cut the fuel line off right there and ran a rubber hose. Let's, we're gonna change that. We're gonna do something different. We've got to run a new line anyways, due to the fact that we're gonna run a different carburetor. So let's see if we can sneak a hard line down there. So our hard line was already cut up, and here's what we're changing. So our carter got fed on the driver's side here. our Edelbrock is gonna get fed over here on the passenger side, and we're probably gonna get one of those fittings that comes whoop, down and out right about here. So we need to have the fuel line go from there to over here instead. I got our new 3/8 fuel line ran down to the pump. It's really a pain making that radius down by the pump, but it's doable. Just hand bent it. I guess we'll take off this carb and bolt the other one on. Alright, we need this vacuum tree off the back of the carb. Let's forcefully remove that. Oh, it didn't put up too much of a fight. Thing's probably never been out before. And now we need to adapt it to the Edelbrock. The 1406 has a larger diameter vacuum port on the back of it, so you're going to need this PTF-15B bushing to neck it down to fit the original vacuum fitting. Here's a good side-by-side comparison for the base plates. You can see the new Edelbrock also has more meat in between the primaries than the secondaries, just like the original Carter AFB. Not much has changed throughout the years when it comes to design of these things, and since the ports are all the same size, we can use the same gaskets on the intake. Since the Edelbrock came with a new base plate gasket, we're going to use that. We're just going to leave our bottom two alone. Hopefully we can make all these hard lines line up. We just got to bend them a little bit. The majority of the mounting is the same as the Carter. So let's get everything put back together, and then once we get some differences, we'll go over those. These things are cool. They've got this carburetor stud that has a vacuum port through the center of them. Hook that up to the stud. We don't need to use any of these front ports. We're not going to use timed vacuum because it was full manifold vacuum for the factory. This one, the little one over here on the driver's side is also, I believe, full manifold vacuum. Center one's usually for the PCV valve, and we don't need to use that. The PCV valve is down here in the valley pan. Oh, I'm sorry. It's in the valley pan back here, and then it draws vacuum from these two ports in the intake. So we already have vacuum for that, so we don't use anything up front with this carburetor. The carb comes with a new pivot ball for the throttle linkage. I can't tell you how many times I have dropped the washer and nut for this pivot ball down into the intake, never to be seen again. So you just put that in the only hole on the linkage that it fits in, basically. Then we need to adjust our linkage. So the linkage is a threaded rod, and we need to thread the rod in so that it's shorter. And there's no lock nuts on it or anything. We're gonna probably have to go as far in as we can, and we need to adjust it so that we've got full range of motion with our accelerator pedal. Otherwise, we're going to be limiting ourselves with how far we can open it. We don't want that. We want to be able to use all of it. Alright, that's as far in as it's going to go, which is close enough if it fits. Big F. I don't think it's going to fit, boys. Oh, maybe if I try getting it closer to the actual hole, then it will. There we go. Always check it. Make sure it doesn't get hung up anywhere. We've got a full range of motion. We've got full return. We're good. I'm sure you're giggling at my line bending skills, and I'm giggling right there with you. This stuff is hard to bend. The copper stuff's a lot easier by hand, and I'm too impatient to use an actual bender on this thing. I'm going to see if I can just use that nipple on the side of the car without having to use that fuel log. My fear is that fuel log is going to hit this boss right here. I can't remember if it does or not, but I remember it being quite tight. So I'll just see how close I can get this to the nipple and then run a hose to it and see if our air cleaner clears it. Good enough, eh? It touches, it pushes it down a little bit, but it's gonna be okay. There's not much interference. All right, all we have left now is our electric choke. So, let's run a wire into the cab. These Pontiacs, they've got a really good spot to do that. Right here, this rubber block, just punch a hole in that, run your wire through there for your positive side. Changed my mind, there's another rubber plug underneath the wiper motor. We've got a terminal labeled IGN or ignition on the fuse block. No power with the key off. This one is called BAT. Battery, that's constant 12. Got power all the time. Let's turn the key on. Then we should have power at our ignition terminal. And we do. So we can use that ignition terminal to run our choke, because then we only have power to the choke when the key is on. So the carb's all finished up, and there's something wrong about looking at this shiny new carburetor on top of this dingy old engine. This thing shines like a diamond in a goat's. That old radiator's seen better days. Looks like it's been leaking a while. Yeah, it's just a tiny 2-core. Got an aluminum one coming from O'Reilly's. Can't remember if they're 3-core or if they're the big wide 2-core, but they mostly fit. So I think we're gonna have to trim some of the radiator support off, which I don't like doing, but it's kind of our only option unless we, you know, go get a real expensive radiator. But got everything done for today. Check back again tomorrow. These are some of the nicest looking 8 lugs I've ever owned, and I'd like to keep them that way. Gently now. This part can suck. Oh my gosh. These are a pain to get off. Just a pain, man. There we go. That's plastic, by the way. If you haven't seen these 8-lug wheels in my videos before, it's a super cool design. This finned part is aluminum, and that is the brake drum. And as you'll see it when we get everything apart, but there's a steel liner inside of the brake drum that the shoes ride on. You just take these 8 lugs off. They're not supposed to be on that tight. I think torque spec on these is 80 foot-pounds. So here's what the rim looks like. Then you're left with this aluminum brake drum. How nice for them to mark it right for us. Oh. Yeah, it's stiff in spots. I'd venture to guess that we've got brake fluid on our shoes, which is causing it to grab hard. We have good looking grease. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's been in here recently. That wasn't terribly tight. I'd like to get a little more preload on my bearing than that. Yeah, judging by the marks that we've gotten here, our shoes were hanging up. I bet if we take everything apart, we're gonna see that our wheel cylinder is leaking. Word to the wise, if you're not sure what you're doing with drum brakes, only take apart one side at a time. So we just took our 2 keepers off for our pins and our 2 upper springs, and we can keep everything else intact. Yeah, we've got really nice looking grease. Everything in here is just kind of damp though. Yeah. There you see, we've got brake fluid coming out, larger than life. Yeah, our cylinders are shot. So that was causing our brake grabbing. So when that fluid gets on the shoes, they kind of swell up and then they stick really hard. Yeah, we need wheel cylinders. Good thing we got all that. Find yourself doing this, do yourself a favor. Clean all that grease off the spindle so you don't end up wearing it on your shirt. Another great habit to get into when you're doing brakes is replacing these rock hard brake hoses. So they won't always leak, but they will implode, which traps fluid pressure in them, not allowing the brakes to release. So especially when they start looking like this, it's a good idea to change them. So I'm jumping around a little bit, but I wanted to show off my brand new direct dish fit radiator for this car. They got really close to getting these things right, but all in all, they're just about a ½ inch too wide. So we're gonna need to massage or bend or cut something that radiator support to get this piece of junk to fit. Unfortunately, I think that if we fold in these flaps on the side, we're gonna be really close. We might have to trim it though. I don't know, we'll see. That helped, but we're still way off, especially with this fabricated neck right here. That's gonna pose some issues. So I'm gonna cut about a ½ inch off of the shroud on this side, and then it should just drop right in. The reason I'm picking this side is because it's gonna move the radiator to the right, and then we're gonna be that much closer to getting our cooler lines lined up, especially that bottom one. Lost my camera at some point. That's all right. Didn't miss anything. I don't know why it sits in there so crooked. Well, we could bend this back some more, I suppose. There we go, that'll get us where we need to be. I don't like doing this, but it's not like it's my station wagon. Of course, while we're at it, we're gonna swap the radiator hoses out because they're getting pretty squishy. Also, when you get these new radiators, make sure that everything's tight. A lot of stuff is probably just going to be finger tight. This is the quality I pay for. Gosh, and this is an O-ring fitting. I really don't want to get too nuts with it. That's kind of a poor patent. Same with this one. So for the transmission cooler lines, we've got to use these funky adapters because the bungs on the new radiator are too small. So we got these BLF-18Bs to go from 5/8 inverted to ½ inch. So that'll alleviate that trouble. I like to try to get the cooler lines hooked up while the radiator is still loose so we can, you know, negotiate things around a little bit. This is always so much fun. You're gonna have to do a lot of wrestling because this line is about probably 2 inches lower than where it was originally. And those lines are hard to bend, man. Now, not super hard, but you know, it's hard to be gentle while you're doing it so you don't kink them, but it is possible. Whenever I'm doing stuff like this, I like to spray off all my fittings with brake cleaner after I put them together, so that I can see if I have any leaks once I start it. Okay friends, we got our radiator full. We put a quart in the transmission to compensate for everything that we may have lost. And we're filling the bowls on our pretty new carburetor. Now, we should hit the key and this thing should just fire. Got good luck with these Edelbrocks right out of the box. Okay. Turn the key on. One pump to set the choke. Crank. Running pretty smooth right out of the box. Falling out. Nice. Get all that vacuum. Falling just about 20 inches. Outstanding. Alright, I'm going to let it get up to temp. Probably have to burp it. We'll keep our eyes on it. Wish I would have got it on camera. I turned the choke off. Well, I blipped the throttle to turn the choke down and it just died. So we probably need a little more idle speed. We put a whole turn in it. Should probably fire up now. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we just don't have enough idle speed. There we go. Let's hook up our timing light so that then we can see what our idle speed is. About 900. A little high. That's alright. We're just going to watch it now, see if we can get it to burp, and then we'll tune on it. I'm making sure that I can see antifreeze in the bottom of this reservoir. Once it starts to build heat, the level of antifreeze in this reservoir is probably going to rise until the thermostat opens and it burps. So you want to be able to see antifreeze in the very bottom, but you don't want it so full that it's got no room to overflow. We're going to use our thermometer. Keep an eye on both sides of our thermostat here. And we're at about, I don't know, 15 degrees cooler or warmer on the left than the right. So our thermostat hasn't totally opened yet. As you can see, we're starting to push some antifreeze back up into this reservoir, which we thought was going to happen. So that's why you want to leave space in there, because it's probably going to get all the way up to the top almost. Yeah, we can rev it up just fine now. When we did that, our antifreeze level dropped, so I wonder if we burped it a little bit. Let's watch it on our light. Revs just fine, so our trouble was the carburetor. That makes me feel good. We're within 5 to 10 degrees on each side of our water neck, so that's great. That must mean our thermostat's all the way open. Our coolant level is kind of settled out. We dialed our idle speed down to around 750 RPMs. So let's tune on our idle mixture screws. We're warmed up, we're burped. We've got excellent throttle response. Let's see if we can even out our vacuum a little. Do once more. engine evened out a lot. And we picked up, gosh, almost 400 RPMs with our idle. It's a great sign. Let's bring our idle down. What are we at? 800, a little over 800. Bring it down a little more. My goodness. Smooth as silk. That's a lot better. And between 18 and 19 inches. I like that a lot. And you can feel the car's running a lot smoother now. Oh, our antifreeze dropped. Just a little bit. Yeah, I'd say we're full. I think that we've got everything under the hood here pretty well covered now. My gosh, we haven't tried the headlights yet. And these are vacuum operated hideaway headlights. Lights. Got dash lights. Oh no. Lights are on. We don't have any flippage. So here's our vacuum line for the lights. Dude, it's hooked up, at least as far as I can see. Dang it, we're gonna have to deal with that. All right, back to the brakes. I know a lot of you probably don't particularly care for crescent wrenches, but I particularly do when it comes to brake line fittings, because you can get these a lot snugger than most open-ended and flare wrenches. Let's just try to rock it. See if we can get this snap free. It doesn't want to. This fitting might become vice grip shaped really quick. Oh, okay. Yep, vice grip it is. Some of you may prefer the term locking pliers. There we go. Cool, broke it free. Did not break the line. Check it out, the correct wrench even kind of fits still. This is my biggest fear when doing brakes, is breaking brake lines. I really don't like making new ones. Kind of lazy. You knew that already though. Oh yeah. We're trying to get these flat pads here, these 6 of them cleaned off. Mostly what we're worried about. And like I said, we gotta get these 3 mounting points, not mounting points, contact points cleaned up where the shoes ride on them. I'm not sure if I said 3 or 6, but there's 6. Those 6 are cleaned up, then we touched up this post up here where the shoes ride, and then we got on both sides this bracket with the wire wheel so it can rock nice and freely. Now these front wheel cylinders, they have a left and a right application, so make sure that you keep your eyes on that when you're reinstalling them. I don't see evidence of this step usually when I take them apart, but I feel like it's very important to make sure that all the all the contact surfaces have a layer of brake grease on them so that everything can slide freely. I also put it up here too and on both sides of this bracket. I had these shoes on the shelf already and it looks like I already previously modified them. I can't tell you how many times I've had to grind the coating off of these shoes to make the adjuster fit. But I like to put them together like this and then slam them onto the hub so that everything's already, you know, kind of held together, and then we can just use our pins to hang the shoes and then get our springs situated. And the leading shoe is always the short shoe. Check it out, huh? Simple as that. Now you don't have to fight everything else. We'll just get our pins situated, then we can put our hold downs on. Tell you what, man, I adore these 90-degree needle nose pliers. This can be one of the most aggravating things you've ever done in your life. See that? It's held on there now. Oh man, we probably should have put this on already. Oh gosh, yes, these are a bear cat. Dang it, Jeffrey. This wouldn't have been my first way to go about this, but here's what it is. There we are. I always forget to start that first. So here's a rare look at the inside of an 8-lug. As you can see, we've got, focus, we have a steel liner, swedged, pressed, whatever, into the aluminum hub itself. And the trouble with these, well, one of the troubles, is that sometimes there's rust jacking in between the steel liner and the aluminum housing, and it causes the liner here to get a bunch of bumps in it. And once that happens, it's pretty much unusable. As you can see, we've got a lot of steel liner left on this thing. We probably could have had them, well, I don't know. We, of course, could have had them turned, but I didn't. I just hit them with the sandpaper. They're in really good shape. They just had some surface rust on it from brake fluid sitting on the pads. That's probably the worst spot right there, but it's gonna clean up. It's gonna be fine. I don't really like to turn these any more than I have to because there's a limited supply of liner left in the hub, of course, and there's also a limited supply of 8-lug hubs left. So if I think they're gonna be okay, if they're not rust jacked, then I'm gonna leave them alone. I'm just gonna clean them up. So that's what we did here. I got this front one on. These go together just like normal wheel hubs. I'm sure you've all done that before. So now I just need to do the same on the back, and then we are ready to blow all our brake lines out and replace our master. More fun facts about 8-lugs. There's date codes on the inside of the hubs. This one says F1 2568, so I assume January 2568. And there are 4 different variations of these things. So we have, it's hard to see here, we've got a 60 to 61 early, 61 to 63, 64 to 66, and then 67 to 68, which was the last year. So these are 68 hubs. They were probably taken off another car because they probably got wore out on this one. But 67s and 68s will interchange, so that's nice. A lot of times you can, well, I don't know about a lot of times, but you can occasionally tell that one is early if you have a driver's side one, and on the front I should say, or back I guess too, and they have L stamped on the stud. They are left-hand threads, I believe. Gosh, what have we dealt with? 65s are right hands. Was it 63s and earlier? Could have been 63s and earlier had left-hand threads on the lug, yeah, on the lug nuts. I think that 63 black Catalina convertible we have has left-hand threads. That's nice. Something to be aware of. Luckily they phased that out. Okay, let's get some brakes slammed together and then we'll get these things bled. All right, let's get these skirts off of here. Where's the tab at? There it is. You gotta push up and let it drop down. There we are. Gotta put some grease on him. So the outer rim on the back's held on just like the front, but instead it just has lug nuts that holds it onto the axle flange. Okay. Simple as that. Oh yeah, back's bolt on really nice. Yeah, we've got some rust jacking going on back here. Probably had more blown out wheel seals. They're not too bad, but oh man, check out these shocks. Big D shocks from Delco. Oh my gosh, only the best, huh? And these brakes go together just like the fronts do, except for all of the e-brake parts. We've got this spreader bar here with a spring on one side, and on the back side of this shoe is just a little bracket that hooks onto the shoe up here, and that's what spreads out the shoes when you apply the e-brake. I know it's hard to see, but there is dampness underneath of our master cylinder, so we're going to swap him out too. We can't really get a booster from O'Reilly's. We're just going to assume that it's okay. So let's just slap a master on there and see how that treats us. Let's break our lines loose before we unbolt it. That one didn't put up much of a fight. You know, none of these lines really have. We haven't broken it yet, so that's outstanding. I guess it helps to spray them down and let them sit for almost a week. Hot dog. What a good day. And this is a front and rear drum brake car, so there is no proportioning valve to worry about on this system. Check it out, it's even dual reservoir, so nobody can scream at me for putting a single pot back on it. Yeah, check that out. We've got brake fluid sitting in the back here. It's not great for business. It degrades our booster, but kind of have no other option right now, so we're gonna run it because it obviously worked still. So we're gonna bench bleed our master. We have the two ports plugged off. We're gonna fill it. We're gonna bleed it with a screwdriver by pushing the cylinder in and out until we don't get bubbles anymore. This is riveting stuff that can take several minutes. Yeah, just do this until you can't really move the cylinder and you don't get bubbles anymore. All right, got all the big bubbles out. We just get some tiny ones every once in a while. I'd say we're bled. Let's go. We are nearing my favorite part of working on brakes, which is completion. All right, we'll take our plastic plugs out of the side of our master, screw our lines in. Try not to get brake fluid on anything that you care about that's painted, because this stuff just eats the crap out of paint. All right, let's start off this exercise by giving this thing roughly, I don't know, 15, 20 pumps. Just in an attempt to get fluid all the way to the back. There's still going to be air in it, but we want to get fluid moving through the system, and we want to be able to check for any possible leaks. We should be able to see leaks just on our initial pump, hopefully. All right, I got my seat slid up clear into the little people setting. I've got my pry bar up against the seat, had it up against the seat, holding the pedal down. We need that pedal down in order to bleed it. All right, now that we pumped it 100 times, what did our level do? Our level went down a little. We'll top them off, then we'll lift the car back up and we'll check for leaks. Great, we already have our first victim because I forgot to tighten the line. All right, that fitting's clean as well. Now being that the brakes worked for the most part when we started this venture. We shouldn't have any of the lines blown out or anything like that. Yeah, that looks good. So long as we got all of our fittings tight again, we should be in good shape. These can be a Bearcat. That looks good. That looks good. And the rubber hose looks good. All right, I'd say that we are safe to bleed. All right, let's see if we can get fluid out on the first attempt. Oh my gosh, that is tight. 12-point box was not the best decision for this. There we go. By gosh, we got fluid. This is gonna go great. Okay, I'm gonna get up there and pump the pedal and we'll try it again. Got a lot of air out. Cool. All right, I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna do the driver's rear, then passenger front, then driver's front. Well, good morning. Went around the car, got it up in the air, and just rechecked all of my fittings. All my fittings were tight. I spun my drums again, and I just had to readjust one brake. So I think we're ready to put wheels on it and, I don't know, maybe drive it. One thing we got to do first though is we need to make sure that the top works. Now they said that the top went down okay, but it had troubles going back up. So let's check it out. Let's put the top down and we're gonna check out our fluid level in our reservoir. Alrighty friends, she is back on all fours. Fun fact about the torque on the 8-lug outer rim lugs, only torque those to 75, 80 foot-pounds. If you over torque them, they've got a tendency to pull the studs out of the aluminum hub, and then your hub is ruined, and then you're gonna cry. So let's get it fired up. Let's get the top down. Let's check our fluid level in the top. Man, I know it's black, but this is good looking interior. All right, let's turn the key on and one pump. Nice. All right. Undo our latches. Think this switch still works. Top down. I don't think that switch works. Is there another switch? Okay, it does work. I just couldn't hear it. Yeah, it's pretty slow. I bet it's low on fluid. All right, now we need to figure out how to get to the pump. Let's check the trunk first. I don't think you can get to the pump that easily this way, but we'll try. Oh, man, I don't know. This might be just as easy as pulling out the back seat. If you're wondering why I didn't check it with the top up, it's because you're supposed to check the fluid level with the top in the down position. I don't know, we might have to take out the seat. Let me see if I can get to the... Yeah, we might have to take out the back seat. I can't get to the drain plug. The drain plugs, I guess I should say the fill plug is on the side of the reservoir. So, yeah, let's just take the seat out. Doing this is always so pleasant. You've got to get the seat bottom out first before you can get the seat back out. And getting the seat bottom out can be a chore. I'm surprised that this one's fully locked down. You gotta push in and up simultaneously. simultaneously. Gosh, we've about got it on one side. All right, there's one side. Oh, no doubt we find mouse nests. What is this? Some bazooka gum. It's still in there if you're interested. Okay. Oh yeah, way more mouse nest. Outstanding. Well, at any rate, the car should smell better. So there's this rubber plug on the side of the reservoir right here. You know, with a ½ inch of room to get to. Yeah, we gotta pull that out somehow. This is always so much fun. There's a lot of junk in here. Those are skeletal remains. That's cool. Must be little mouse heads. Oh, great. All right, I'm gonna get probably some needle nose pliers and try to pull that plug out. There it is. Dug it out with an O-ring pick. Good luck to me getting it back in there. Okay, so these top motors here, super simple. They've got 2 power wires and a ground wire going to them, and that's it. There's a lot of debate as to what's inside of the motors and the lines. I think they came with brake fluid in them initially. I don't like putting brake fluid in them. Brake fluid's corrosive. So I put ATF in them. No matter what else is in the lines already. I've been doing this for 3 years now and have had no ill effects. So guess what? I'm gonna keep doing it. So we just need to pump that little hole full of ATF until we get ATF to come out of it. Get yourself plenty of sacrificial rags because you are going to have a bloodbath on your hands, partner. All right, we gotta use the 90-degree fitting for this exercise. So here's what we got going on. The end of our pump. Look at that quick, easy way to get in there. Aren't I just the smartest man alive? If you do this right, you're gonna have ATF running out of your trunk. I got the plug started in with the needle nose, okay, and then I just used the needle nose to pry the plug into the reservoir. All right, let's hit the pump and see what happens. All right, we need to top up. Oh, now we're building pressure. I might have to cycle this a few times. It took a while, so let's raise it. And then we'll lower it again. Yeah, I think we're just that down on fluid. I pulled the plug out and it appears that we're down on fluid again, so let's add some more. See where that gets us. Yeah, it's taken quite a bit again. Top up again. Things are going better this time. I think it's still low though. Yeah, it's gonna make it this time. Yeah, that's got the power. Let's put it back down. That goes down quite well. Cool. All right, let's let everything settle. Take the plug back out again and refill. Well, most of our ATF cleaned up. Imagine the mess you'd have if you used brake fluid on that. That is why I am not for it. I don't want to peel all the paint off my floor pan. As I mentioned earlier in the video, our hideaway headlights aren't working. Let's see if we can get that figured. So here's our vacuum hoses for that. Let's pull it apart at this T, and let's see if we can pull a vacuum on it and get the lights to flip open manually. I don't know, we've got 15 inches of mercury pulled on the system. It still won't pull the covers open. I better do some digging, see what I can figure out about this. I really am not sure how this system operates. So several minutes later, we're still holding steady at 15, but I didn't notice something. I didn't notice the two other hoses going out to the headlights. So I assume that the one that I'm plumbed into now is just the supply line for the reservoir. And then I think that these other two that are in this tape here are probably the ones that actually actuate it. So I wonder if my trouble is inside the cab at the switch. So I'm gonna take this off and then I'm gonna crawl around in my head underneath that dashboard and see what I can see. I found this 67 Pontiac service manual that has the hose routing. So if you need a reference, pause the video right here. Pretty cool, huh? This isn't the most comfortable position I've ever been in, but you can see the 3 vacuum lines that go into the headlight switch here. And when the headlights are turned on, I can hear a vacuum leak. So I wonder if our switch is bad, which would be really unfortunate. But as soon as I shut the lights off, the leak goes away. Yeah, I think that our switch is worn out. Well, I'm gonna have to dig for one. I don't think I've got one available right now, so that's just gonna have to wait. Oh boy. Top down some more. That's better. It's good enough, right? We've got about a third of a tank. Let's put some more in it though. Another 20 bucks to make me feel good. We have brakes. That's cool. Pretty cool to be able to do 20 miles an hour now. Didn't think I'd be asking for so much. Oh yeah, it just kind of breezes down the road now. This is effortless. Wow, what a good car. Something just let go. I don't know what I brakes is unhappy. Maybe I should have had them turned. Or maybe it'll just wear the shoes out. Either or. Okay, hot start. Not bad. Yeah, our sender seems to be working. We're showing half a tank now. Makes me feel better. Yeah, this thing is just snappy. Don't give a damn. I'm going a little fast already. It didn't take long. Crap, we're probably gonna lose that floor mat. Yeah, this thing just loves pavement. Brakes need a little work. It kind of acts like we've got a warped drum or something along those lines. I don't know. We'll see if it smooths out at all. It's got no problem climbing hills now. We're not even into it and we were able to get up that steep grade, no problem. Thing is quite snappy. I couldn't be much more pleased with the engine performance aspect of it. Let it gallop a little bit. Wow, it kicked down. I'm shocked. Boy, this is a good car. Drives pretty straight. If it weren't for the wind, it would probably drive perfectly straight. A little breezy out today, you can tell by the corn. No, it's all right. This thing loves the road, man. What does Grand Prix stand for? Grand Prize? Is that it? Guess I don't really know. Yeah, fuel looks good. We're charging. We're boogieing. It's a sunny day. We got the top down. Our windshield's not even that messed up. What a good day. Oh, this is a fairly happy car. I probably really should have had the drums turned on it. Maybe it'll even out, maybe it won't. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Yeah, I think what I'm feeling is the shoes grabbing as I apply the brake. Golly. We're just sailing, man. This thing is so comfortable. You're probably not used to seeing this scenery on the videos here. We're in a slightly different spot than we usually are because we're actually driving something nice for once with good tires on it. Yeah, there's 70. It's effortless. Wow. This thing is running so smooth. Let's see if it bottoms out here at the bridge. No, not bad. Our Big D shock absorbers must be working still. Boy, the steering on these big old Pontiacs is just phenomenal. It's so smooth and effortless. Like, it doesn't take much to correct on these things. You've really kind of got to pay attention, because if you were sliding one of these things around the corner on gravel, you could probably lose it pretty easy because it's so easy to steer it and overcorrect. We better slow our roll a little bit. We don't know if there's a police officer coming up on us. Yeah, we're just boogieing, man. I think we tried the radio once and no avail. I know that the back speaker was not hooked up. Nah, I can't hear anything at all. That's too bad. We could really use some tunes right now. This is a road tripping car, let me tell you. I've got so much space in this thing. I'm like 6'2", and I'm very nicely sprawled out here. I've got the seat all the way back. I'm really not even close to hitting I wouldn't even be close to hitting my head on the roof. And the seat's not super sacked out or anything. Which direction does it want to pull us when we hit the brakes? It doesn't really prefer one direction or the other. I can hear vibration in the back, like clattering, pulsating when I hit the brake in the back on this side. Yeah, particularly bad at low speed. Just effortless, man. No pinging, no detonation, no hesitation. That was 75, and I am honestly barely into the throttle on this thing. This car is quick, man. I don't know if I'm gonna say fast, but it's quick. This thing's got the power to get out of its own way. It's so cool to drive one of these with a mostly dialed in engine and actually feel the performance like you would from the factory. So like I said, this was rated at 350 horse. We might not have all of that left. The thing's not tuned absolutely perfectly by any means. And you know, it's almost perfect at idle, but it's not sewing machine smooth. But golly, once you start giving it some foot feed, it just takes off. Like it's weird. It happens quickly, but it's not like putting you back in the seat super hard, but the speedometer climbs at a pretty rapid rate. I'm impressed. And I don't think that our speedometer is super off either. Like, it says 60, and I believe that we're going all of 55, 60 right now. So I think that we're pretty darn close. I'm quite happy with this. Alright, let's cruise on up to one of the little ghost towns. It's all pavement up there, so it's a good little 2-lane drive. Full throttle. That really wasn't bad. The thing did not really, once we got probably up to 10 or so, the thing did not hesitate. Alright, let's see if we can have a brake come apart while we're trying to get down this grade and take a right turn at the bottom of it. Wish I had a manual right now. Well, I need to buy a brake lathe. You might be able to even hear it in the video. Whoever ends up with this car is gonna get one running son of a gun. This thing, golly, this thing just runs so good, man. This is one of the snappiest stock engines I've probably driven. Well, you can hear that thing just sucking air too. Whoa. What a good car. What a freaking treat. We are heading up to the metropolis of Telbasta. I try to be a little mindful when I'm out on these county roads. A lot of farm equipment driving around. There's no shoulder, so I try not to do 100 miles an hour over a hill. You know what I mean? I don't know what I'm gonna come up upon. We're in the thick of hay season right now, so there's a lot of swathers and hay binds and stuff like that driving around at the moment. We got a nice breeze today, let me tell you. We got a nice breeze. It's like 75 degrees. This is just perfect weather, man, let me tell you. It is a great day for hay. That's an airstrip, in case you were wondering. There's the little ghost town. About 8-10 houses left in it. Used to have a general store that was open until, gosh, I don't know, probably the 70s or so. Maybe not that late, I'm not sure. But fell into disrepair a couple years ago and they tore it down, unfortunately. But there's a lot of, you know, little towns that used to dot the countryside out here. So in my county, we've got, what? Let me count here. 5 towns that are still incorporated, but at one point in time, probably back around when the railroad came through and everything was getting platted out, I think there was 20 towns in the county or so. There's a couple towns like that one still left. 1, 2, I can think of 3 that still, you know, there's no services, but there's still people living in them. But golly, they used to be all over the place, and now all that's really left of a lot of them is, you know, a house and maybe an old building that used to be a store or something like that. But yeah, back when the railroad came through, we were at an all-time high for individual towns, I would say. But, you know, everything shortly dried up. You know, they'd last until the 1920s or so when, you know, everybody, well, I guess mainly when the Depression hit, and then people moved to town and got a, you know, town job and left the little farms behind. And yeah, between the Great Depression probably and I would say the farm crisis of the 1980s, we saw a huge decline in the population of rural America. There's 2 center pivots out on that hill. What are we doing up here? It smells like poop. there's a good view of two of the big sprinklers for those that may not be aware. Those are center pivots. Those two machines are about a quarter mile long, go around in a circle. Probably takes about a day for them to make a complete circle. If you ever fly across middle America, you'll see all the circles in the fields from them. Well, hello, little calves. This thing really does run phenomenally. I am quite pleased with that. Feels like most of my rattle is in the rear brake drums. At least those are the easy ones to take off. Or slap another pair on for that matter. We've got quite a few of them, but a lot of them are in the same condition as these. They probably all need to be turned. I don't have any other vital signs, or vital gauges I should say, but I at least have dummy lights. Oh yeah, horn works. Yeah, I've got dummy lights and I don't have any dummy lights on, and I think they work, so that's all right. I forgot to show this. I saw this the other day. So this is a Texas state inspection sticker from 1991, and the mileage on it states 05981, and we are at 08367 now. So this car only had about 3,000 miles put on it in my lifetime. Isn't that nuts? I guess it shows. And I know that it was inside the entire time that the previous owner had it, which I believe was probably since about 1991. That's about when he bought the other 6 or so cars that we bought from them. Yes, this thing is running just wonderfully. Could not be any more pleased. There's some more buddies. Got some black cows, some baldies. I can't tell if they're Herefords or not. I'm not that good. I think they are. My wife's a lot better at picking out cattle breeds than I am. Yeah, no hands. No hands and a strong wind out of the south. I was driving an old dump truck down this hill one day, and then I realized I didn't have brakes. So I just kind of bebopped right across the highway onto the gravel road. I think I was probably able to get it down to around 20-30 miles an hour. And that's fairly fast. There's a bit of a hump here. Can't remember if I had the dog with me on that day. Yeah, there was a point about halfway down the hill where I realized, well, I ain't stopping, so I just gotta keep going and try to hold on. This thing kicks down quite nicely. All of our linkage seems to be working quite well. Everything seems to be pretty happy except for them rear drums. Yeah, I should have done something about that. Boy, this thing drives good though. Aside from the braking part, leaves a little to be desired. Can you hear it, Mr. Krabs? You don't suppose I forgot to put a spring on or anything, did you? I don't think I did. I don't think I had any leftover parts. I would have known. We picked a good day for this, let me tell you. What a happy little car. In case you're wondering, I try to put 91 octane with no ethanol in all of these. The ethanol is pretty hard on the carburetors. If it sits, it leaves behind a residue and it's corrosive. It's got water and alcohol in it. So I don't got a problem with it putting ethanol in these things if you're going to drive them every day. But if you're going to let fuel sit for an extended period of time, I don't think it's a very good idea. And then I try to put 91 in them because this thing here, it's probably got at least a 10-to-1 compression ratio. Probably, I don't know, 10 1/4, 10 1/2. That's fairly high, honestly, which may also explain our timing setting. Our timing is a little bit aggressive, but it seems to like it, and it doesn't ping, it doesn't spark knock, so it seems to be what the car wants. I'm honestly gonna leave the timing alone. That hard starting, I don't know, that could have been either a weak starter or well, weak starter combined with our 6-year-old irrigation battery. So our battery starting situation isn't just top notch, but it works. We're probably lacking some cranking amps. I don't know, I'm gonna keep running it for now and see what happens. I am gonna get those drums turned though. Don't you just love the burled walnut? Isn't that pretty? It's on the dash and the glove box door too. These poor steering wheels, they're almost all like this, chipped up and cracked from the sun. Very, very rarely do you find one that's not cracked, and when you do find one that's not cracked, you can ask about whatever you want for them, and you're probably going to sell it. Those dang rear brakes, man. Why is the power line making noise? I don't like that. Gosh, is school in session already? I know the town school started. I don't know if this one did or not yet. I think it's the first day for school in town. Poor kids. So as you can see, Nebraska's not all flat. We've got some rolling hills. It just so happens that the part of Nebraska that most people see when they're driving through it is flat, because they're probably going down Interstate 80 all the way across the state, and Interstate 80 follows the Platte River Valley, which is a river valley, and therefore is flat for the entire length. So you get off of the interstate and you're gonna get into a lot of hilly terrain. I shouldn't be telling any of you this because I don't want anybody else to move here. I'm gonna gatekeep my state. I don't want anyone else to figure out how great of a time I'm having. as far as individual freedoms go, I'd venture to guess that Nebraska is pretty high on the list of states for the amount of stuff that you can do and not have to have a permit for it or any goofy stuff like that. You pretty much just get left alone if you're not making a scene. I can't even remember the last police interaction that I had. I tell you what's a killer though, property taxes, man. Property taxes in this county are outrageous. Now, it's not as high as neighboring states like Colorado, but gosh, Missouri is way lower than we are. You can probably really hear the wind howling now, can't you? It's picked up quite a bit. What a sweetheart. I wanted to say thank you everybody for following along on this video. I know this isn't the normal content, but we at least got to touch on things like the carburetor, the top, the convertible top, and the brake system. So that was really cool to see some of that unique stuff. So stay tuned, I've got another video in the works. It's more along the lines of the usual content, and it's 2 cars, so it's gonna be a long one. All right, thanks again everyone. Please like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you later.